With the lack of trunk space in the Bel Air, we needed to come up with a solution for our tools and extra bits and pieces for when we're traveling around. So I had an interesting idea, and today I'm going to start working on that. So before I pull the seats back out and put some new hardware in, I'm going to start making some brackets. So first off, what I want to do is I want to put this Milwaukee pack-out plate in the middle here, kind of like in an armrest type of situation. The idea will be that I'm going to be able to put a toolbox on top of here to slide in. There's a narrow one they make that's maybe about like that high. So we got this guy all framed up. So what I'm going to do now, tack this together, drill my holes, and then I can start figuring out a height. Now the one thing that we got to realize is I'm dealing with this hump here, I'm dealing with this hump here. I think my feet are going to rest in the middle, and then I'll make little feet off the ends that we'll use to bolt it down with. So I've got my holes marked out here. This I have actually put too far ahead for some reason. I thought it was lined up okay, which is fine. I'll cut it out and fix that. It's no big deal, but I think what I'll do is I'll drill these first, get my plate attached, and then it'll allow me to play around with this a little bit more. Holes are drilled. I've also made these legs. I'll have to do a bit of chopping, but they'll go along there. And then I can put some feet on the end of these guys when I'm done, and we can drop it in the car. And there we go, one finished platform. Sits down, very nice. And that's what it looks like, just kind of slapped down in there with the pack-out top on. Please note, no Milwaukee sponsorship, but we do love their tools. Went up to the store, grabbed some grade 8 bolts, started putting the seats back in. In the meantime, I had a better idea of how I wanted to organize things with tools. Originally, I was going to put some pack-out plates along the back of the seat, and it would have looked okay, but it would have looked weirdly awkward too, like some sort of strange display. So what I ended up doing was, I grabbed one of these guys here. So it is going to sit in the middle between the two seats on this pack-out. Now I only have one right now. I'm going to go to the store and grab some others. But what I realized I could do is I'm going to make brackets to mount two more like this. So really what I'm going to end up having to do is make a few more of these brackets here. Well, after a couple hours of work, got those other two platforms made. Just have to go and pick up a couple more pack-out panels. I think I mentioned that earlier. And then I can drill some holes and get these guys bolted down. So our platform is mounted up nice and tight. I'm still working on these seats here, but we can give this a test. So the idea will be, in you go. Oh, hey, we've got our toolbox that we had to take outside because we were fixing something. In we go onto the pack out, line it up. If I can do that, oh, there we go. Click, in it goes, and down. Seat comes down, and can even use it as an armrest. And there we go. It is all done and set up. I really like how this turned out. It's going to be super cool, and it's going to help us a lot when we're on the road picking stuff up. So I'll just give a quick show here. The one thing that I like is the fact that this door doesn't close, but you know, we're out somewhere. Pop this open. Need some tools. Pop this pack out. Got a tray, plus all these great dividers in here. And the idea is, what we'll do is we're going to pack the stuff that we use pretty consistently into the outer two, and the center one will have the less important stuff. It moves a little bit, but that might change once we've got some weight in it. But what I like is pull this. It's kind of hard to do with the camera in my hand, but out. Kids want to go for a ride. Seats down, have a bit of an armrest. Even if you have one, you can just leave the toolbox there. I imagine if I'm taking the kids out for a ride, or Tim's taking the kids out for a ride, or we've got some passengers, we're probably not going to need the tools, so we can just leave those guys at home. I am super stoked and incredibly happy with how this turned out, because when we put that fuel system in the back, I was kind of curious how we were going to carry this stuff around. So one more look, just because I'm smiling. And there you go. So next up is something pretty simple. Could have been more complex if we had chosen to go that way, but we chose not to, and that is the sound system in the car. I did not put in any big stereo or any of that sort of stuff. We didn't really have room. It wasn't really in the budget, so we decided to be a little bit creative, and this is what we're going to do. I'm gonna go with this JBL Flip 6. Apparently quite durable, waterproof, good sound. How are we going to put it in the car, you might ask? Well, I did a little bit of internet research and came up with this guy here. Basically, it's a clamp of sorts. So my idea is that I'm going to take this, I'm going to find a spot inside the cab somewhere to mount it. I don't think I'll put it on the dash or anything like that. That's a bit cheesy. I have a couple of ideas of where I want it to go. And instant sound system. Low maintenance. Audio is supposed to be pretty good. Plus, if we go somewhere and we're working on something and we want to listen to some music, we can. Although everyone out there in YouTube land knows that, as per licensing, really can't have music on in the background anyway. So chances are it'll just stay in the car. And if we're recording when we're driving, it won't be on. But if we're not recording, we'll be rocking out. This is what I've come up with. So, got my flip installed here across the top of the headboard, or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure that's wrong. This little bracket is designed so that it can pop open and this could come out. I tried to center it over the mirror, but I had no luck. We're dealing with some pretty thin metal here and a bit of a bump. I tried shaving things down and it just did not work. But it is finished. No tunes pumping yet, but I'm glad that it's another thing off the list. Speaking of which, as you will see, the car is on, and I have something else hooked up, and a problem solved. I got to the bottom of the signal light for the passenger side. So we've got blinking there, we've got tail lights there. That means that everything is all set on that side of electrical things, I guess. Got a signal up here too. That, folks, was fun. I'm super glad with what I accomplished this time around, getting those toolboxes in, getting a couple other little jobs done. And now we're at the point where we're really in the home stretch. We're talking about it today. Basically, we've got to put the transmission in, got to put the shifter in, got to get the exhaust hooked up, have to get the front and rear seals on the front and rear end done, get a drive shaft in there, replace our fuel rail, and then we're ready for a bit of test and tune. It's the middle of the winter, so we'll get this done, but we're not in any big, giant rush. Although it'd be nice to be finished. So, as always, thanks for watching. Have a good one.